Yes, we're a forum.
Okay, we're recording and streaming, so you can get started.
Okay, meeting was called to order. First order of business is to announce the next meeting, which is Tuesday, that's a business meeting. If we have it, and the next hearing will be January 23rd in this room at 8:30 a.m. With that, would you swear in the staff, please? Are you it, or are you joining us as well? Okay, if you swear and affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth,
Yes.
so say I do.
I do.
Thank you. And we will then do the board roll call
Yes, Mr. Whitman,
here.
Mr. Loversidge,
Here.
Ms. Maniaci here, Ms. Bartley should be arriving at some point, and Mr. Beatty.
Here. Okay,
We have a quorum.
great. Thank you very much. So would you go through the protocol if you would, please?
Yes, so I, being city staff, will present the staff report and any application materials, and the applicants will sit at this table here, and be sworn in and asked to present their materials. And then any registered speakers will approach the podium, be sworn in, and provided 3 minutes each to speak. And then the commissioners will discuss the case and ask any questions if needed. And I wanted to note that Ms. Bartley has arrived.
Great. With that, would you, or could I have a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting, please?
So moved.
Second. Okay, there's a motion and a second. Are there any additions, deletions, corrections? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the minutes are approved. And with that, are we ready for the first application?
Yes.
Great.
So this is a returning applicant for 81 South Fifth Street, which is located at the corner of South Fifth and East State Streets. And it's a building built in 1956. Structural reports note water infiltration causing steel plates supporting the existing brick veneer to deteriorate. This has caused damage to window weatherproofing and vertical cracks in the exterior brick. The reports recommend to mitigate any water intrusion, replace the steel plates, shore the brick veneer prior to window removal, brick replacement in some locations, and tuck pointing. Given these conditions, the applicant is seeking commission approval to remove the existing brick above the first floor and install new fiber cement panels on the north, south, and east elevations. The brick to remain at the first floor will be patched and tuck pointed. The existing CMU wall on the west elevation will be waterproofed and painted, and the first floor limestone will be repainted. The existing canopy and storefront on the first floor will remain, and the fabric awning and vents will be removed. The applicant was last before the commission at the November 28th meeting, where they recommended consideration of a different panel color, clear window glass, and to include more details and close-up elevations of the first floor elevations to better understand their treatment. In response to commission feedback, the applicant provided additional photos and renderings of the street level condition, selected a darker panel color, and selected a new paint color for the first floor painted limestone. And submitted materials include existing context images, site plan elevations, material details, and structural reports from October 10th and October 19th of 2023. And to quickly go through same kind of photos as last time, although there are some additional like this one, showing that first floor treatment as a pedestrian. And then as we move forward through the structural reports, I mainly wanted to show you all the rendering. That gives a good image of it. So this is the updated rendering. So you see they chose these darker panels at the recommendation of the commission. They did leave the tinted window glass. And then you can see the first floor, they chose a fun color for that one. It's already painted black, but they want to repaint it this fun color. And then you see the treatment of brick and the window glazing as well. And then keeping that canopy, which runs all the way through what is in fabric right now that will be removed. So after review, the proposal is generally consistent with the downtown design guidelines. Thank you.
Good morning.
I'm Chris Jolly with Darren Rinker Architects.
Okay, Chris, could you say your name again so I can hear maybe?
Yeah, Chris Jolly.
Okay, feel free to use that microphone so we can hear you, please.
Yeah.
Would you raise your right hand? Do you swear and affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So say I do.
I do.
Thank you. All right, go ahead. We've seen it. Let's go down to some of the things that we discussed last month.
Sure.
Can I ask an upfront question, just to get something out that I'm not sure I did this? Why could you not keep the brick and patch it, repair some of the lintels or wherever the leaks are occurring? It looks to me, I don't see large vertical cracks in there. Maybe there are some.
Yeah,
I did see that on the picture on the lower right-hand corner. Are those cracks then?
Oh, yeah, it's kind of all up the, along the corners
Yeah.
of the building. And there's a lot of some separation. And when you look at the building from like below, you can kind of see where the brick's kind of waving in and out. And there's a lot of concerns from the company that would do any sort of shoring, that as soon as they start to take out some of the brick in order to do any sort of repairs, that the condition behind there could be such that the whole facade could start to kind of come down as you start to take pieces off, even though they're trying to shore it. I mean, they've from what they've told me, they've experienced that in the past where they've thought they had a decent condition, they start to take it out, and then it starts to just the whole thing can go. And also the cost of doing all the shoring is the cost of a new facade, a separate
really?
from net
Okay.
repairs.
Now, you said on your upfront too, that you had two new, I guess, new reports of October 10th and October perhaps 19th. Actually, those would have been there before.
Yeah.
Is there any new information on that we have not heard?
No, those are the same.
Okay, I'm sorry, I interrupted you. Why don't you go ahead and tell us what you're thinking about here then?
Sure, yeah. So
Hopefully we have some samples to look at.
yeah, so following the feedback, we found a material we felt was a little bit darker. It's got a little more texture to it that we thought played nicely with the brick. I think we submitted an image that had this up against the brick, so you can kind of see how the two play together.
When you say up against the brick, what brick are you talking?
The existing brick, yeah.
So is the lower, that north panel there, does that stay the red, original red?
Yes, yeah. So that's able to stay because it's relying upon the foundation from below. It's not any steel lintels. So that can be patch repairs, some of the bricks that taken off from the building and tuck pointed, and that would be on the north end and on the east facade, outside the main storefront area. And these are our paint colors. We kind of wanted to go with something we thought a little more lively, kind of that, bringing a little bit of that kind of 50s sort of feel with kind of a nice teal color. And this would be the underside of the awning, and then this is the other, the west facade paint color. But we just thought it was kind of a fun color to kind of bring a little interest down at the street level and kind of harken back to sort of that 50s kind of feel. The brick and the panels there. And then I know there was a question about the facade, the glass. So this is what we're talking about, just kind of gray tinted glazing. As I was walking to this building, I don't think it's overly different from actually maybe the glass on this building that we're in today. Reason why, just because they are having living units on the second and third floor, so just provide a little bit of additional privacy. We will have window shades, but we felt that's helpful for a little bit of privacy for people that are, that's their kind of short-term units they're using as they're getting recovery.
How would that look next to the new color you selected for the panel? Will there be enough contrast between the two?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you want to put it up against it if you'd like. I mean, I think they play nicely together. The first floor would still be clear glazing at the entry, so you still have that, direct connection. That we're not changing that storefront system there, so you'd still have that connection there.
And what are the frames, the color of the window frames?
So yeah, the new window would be a dark bronze.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, questions, comments, thoughts?
I had a comment. I like that you're using that aqua color and that, that giving it the character and the hark back to the 50s and the 60s. And I'm wondering, when you look at your signage, or even as you develop the canopy, maybe the underside of the canopy or some design element, you might want to carry that through as well. I'm not saying the color, but maybe that concept. of the playfulness or that retro feel.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I think at this time they're not planning any signage on the outside of the building, so there'd just be, interior of the building, so you'd probably see that through the facade, but yeah, currently no exterior signage.
Is the canopy still going to, it looks like the fascia, the edge of the canopy, is that being replaced or just repainted or partially?
Yeah. Yeah, replaced to match the existing profile and color. It's like a dark bronze or kind of black.
No.
I think it might be a gabaloon. Yeah.
We looked at this last month, and I think he's listened to our comments, and, making the panels darker, I think is helpful. I think the glass is okay, and I like the aqua, accent, so I think it's an improvement. It's unfortunate that this building is being demolished by neglect, but I guess you're catching it just in time.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm wondering, when I look at this, what sticks out to me, it's a little discordant, I guess, is the original pit. Splat, the tiny amount of brick that's on the north side there on the east side.
I like it.
For my taste, I would almost consider painting it, leaving the brick. I like that, and painting it. So, but here you hear two opinions, so. Anything, Otto? No. Anything from the audience? Any comments? What's the pleasure of the group
I
here?
move approval.
Second. And there's a second. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries.
Thanks so much. Appreciate your
Thank you
time.
very much.
Thank you.
And thank you for, I think it's better, frankly.
No, it's great. Yeah.
You feel okay about it?
Oh, yeah. I feel great about it. Yeah.
Okay.
Really do. Yeah. Appreciate it.
Definitely.
It's all part of the process.
Feel good.
All right.
Always happen that way.
Well, the next application is for 281 East Spring Street, which encompasses 5 parcels of land, which contain surface parking lots. The commission approved the proposal to construct a 5-story mixed-use building at the September 26th meeting. The applicant is seeking commission approval for revisions to the project, which include the following. On the north elevation, remove 2 third-floor balconies and replace them with windows. On the south elevation, remove all brick veneer materials on floors 1 through 3, with cast-in-place concrete remaining, and remove chain link fencing on the 2nd floor with the parking garage path cables to remain. On the east elevation, removing brick veneer material on floors 1 through 3 with the cast-in-place concrete remaining, but the first 33 feet of brick running south from Spring Street will remain. Removing all balconies and replacing them with windows, and providing an art mural on floors 1 and 2. And then on the west elevation, removing 2 second-floor balconies and 1 on the 7th floor balcony and replacing with windows. Submitted materials include a site plan, building overview, material details, elevations, context photos, and renderings. And really with this one, I just want to get to the elevations here. It's the same, but again, we're missing a balcony here, and I think one here, that was removed. A few balconies, were taken on this facade as well. This is the back where the parking garage will be. So this all used to be, brick that was taken off. And then, here the crash cables remain, but this is all going to be open now. And then on this is the facade that faces east. So on this is a parcel line, and then next door to that is another surface parking lot. So that's the context we're working within. But they kept the brick here, removed it all here, so that'll be sort of concrete in place, but a mural will be provided here. And then all of these used to be balconies, but they removed them and then just have windows there. My guess is in case another building is built on that surface parking lot next door, they're trying to think ahead for that future possibly. But here's just some more context photos and then updated renderings, which are very similar to the previous ones. But after review, the downtown design guidelines state that surface parking has a detrimental impact on the character of the downtown and provides opportunity to accommodate new development. The guidelines recommend that the built environment be energized with new buildings and improvements in the public realm that promote good design, long-lasting building construction and materials, and attention to detail, especially at the street level. Unique design expression is encouraged and art is recommended to enliven blank walls. And thus the proposal is consistent with the downtown design guidelines. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I need to recuse myself on this one.
All right.
Good morning.
Morning. Could you identify yourselves for the record, please?
Yes, John Rewald with Rewald Development.
And I'm Sam Rosenthal with Schooley Caldwell.
Would you raise your right hands? Do you swear and affirm the testimony you're about to give us the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So say I do.
I do.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, so, obviously we're here for concept review in April, approved in September. What you have in front of you today is our final development plan. We're 75% through CDs, ready to submit permit, and wanted to get this in front of you with the minor final development changes. Happy to discuss anything, further specific questions. I think Belkis did a nice job of running through the extent of the changes. And really, as we look back at comments, previously it was a desire for public art. The east elevation was a little funky, admittedly, when we came in September for approval. Yes, we removed some brick veneer, but previously we had just exposed CMU in addition to the brick veneer on that elevation. Got 114 by 18 feet to really do something special. So as part of this approval, we are committing to public art mural on that elevation, and we are in talks and negotiation with a regional artist to do that. We're excited about that. And you look at Warehouse, Discovery District, this area and pocket specifically, there are a ton of murals today. And there's some other initiatives being led by Blockfort, our neighbor, specifically to Lafayette, called Alley Island, which would go from Grant to Fifth. They've been in discussions with the other property owners, Edwards, industry, day companies, about activating and enlivening Lafayette with public art, which is something you see if you can go to the south elevation real quick. So we removed the brick veneer here, but our intent would be to participate in the Alley Island as well. And when you see the context photos, when you look at the adjacent properties, they also have exposed cast in place concrete garage with just fencing on level 1. And then I'd also mention that Lafayette, the right of way.
Identify Lafayette for us.
Lafayette is the alley to the south.
To the south.
Yes, sir. I'd also note that Lafayette.
Running which way? Which way does the alley run?
I think it's
East-west.
Oh, yes, east-west. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yes. And then I'd also say Lafayette, we are under 14 foot from our building to Edwards Garage to the south of us. It is a narrow alley. I think there's an opportunity to enliven it, but what we're proposing is consistent with the context of the adjacent properties.
What's on the east lot line? Is there an alleyway along there? Are you building on the property?
So we are building property line to property line. Previously, in the past, there was right of way there that has been abandoned. So it's a 0 lot line. Godman Guild owns property next to us, as well as day companies.
Well, how can you put windows on a property line then?
So we are set back on level 3, 10 feet from the property line before we actually have
So you have
finished
to light
openings.
wall for a certain height, and then you step.
Yeah,
back
our podium.
so that you can put the window.
Correct. Yeah. So our podium is built to the property line to accommodate the necessary parking. And then you see we're set back where the face of that building is 10'6" actually, till you hit the face of the building. Level 3, we are taking advantage of large walkout patios for those units, 200 to 300 square feet each.
On the inside court there.
On the east facing side here, those folks will be able to walk out and take advantage of that. So, we feel the integrity of the design is the same with what was approved. The north and west elevations generally remain unchanged except for minor modifications to balcony count. So happy to answer.
How many balconies do you have when the dust clears? And how many did you remove then?
We removed a total of 17 balconies, the bulk of which were on the east facade. So there were previously 12 on the east facade. Again, thinking zero lot line, there's parcels in excess that could be developed, and as we're having conversations, it seemed prudent to, prioritize where there's going to be views in perpetuity. And then we've got
So you move 5 on the north facade and the west facade.
2 on north, 3 on west.
Yeah.
Some of those removals, so on north facade here, if you look at level 3, those units also have walkout patio space there. And it felt kind of overwhelming having all these balconies immediately, over them, with the more gracious, premium, larger outdoor spaces. So, again, we're well down the path, prepared to submit for permit here coming out of the holidays, 75% through CDs, and are seeking, your final blessing so we can move forward with permit.
I have a question about the balconies that were removed. Is it on the south? The majority of the balconies.
So
The east.
the east, where we have the zero lot line, yes, that facade is where the majority, is about.
So are there any units there, let's say the ones on the ends where on the, let's say on the adjacent side, that they would have access to a balcony?
So we have a 4,000 square foot, slightly over 4,000 square foot, level 3 amenity terrace that's open to all residents, which is denoted there. All the units that face the courtyard on level 3 also have private walkout space there. And then on the east facade, you can see the setback here. Those units also on the east there have that space to walk out. That's where we turn the corner at the northeast corner there, which was something we heard at our meeting in April and have maintained. Initially our design didn't turn the corner. So we feel that's got a nice presence when you're coming down Spring Street there, and we've maintained that.
So are you changing the material on the south elevation from what we had approved before?
We are removing. So, the cast in place concrete was there with brick veneer, those vertical piers. And we had, the same openings. It's always.
But I mean, the apartment floors above, that was all.
No, that's the same. That's the
Okay,
same
that's
material.
the same.
The only instance that
The
changes.
parking, on the parking.
Correct.
Okay. And then any other areas changing then, materials on the exterior?
No.
Okay.
Same program, same gross square footage of the building, same parking count.
Same unit count.
Okay. Questions, comments, thoughts?
I just had one question. The mural that.
Yes.
Work that you're thinking about, do you see that as something being adhered to the concrete, or do you see that as something being painted?
Painted. Yeah, that's the direction we're heading
And
with that.
then the idea would be that would be a long-term.
Yes, yeah, that would be a permanent installation there. And we've been working with our neighbors at Blockford, to source artists for this opportunity.
I think that's good.
Yeah, we're excited about it.
Other comments? What's the pleasure of the group here? Okay, is that a motion?
Yes.
Okay, is there a second, please?
Second,
Okay, the motion is on the floor. Questions, comments, anything from the audience? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I still want to know where you get the skyhook middle of the corner.
Yeah. It's definitely some interesting engineering there.
I'll share the details later.
All right. The next application is for a parcel on East Walnut Street. So this site is located along East Walnut Street in 12 spaces of a surface parking lot east of Grant and Walnut Street. The applicant is seeking commission approval to construct a new 988 square foot maintenance facility for Franklin University. Materials include metal siding, roof and canopy, black fixed picture windows, steel garage doors, and surrounding concrete curbing and planting beds with landscape. The existing dumpster will remain. And submitted materials include a site plan, elevations, and material details. For this one, I'm going to click on the address because it's a little hard to understand where it might be. But so we have town, Franklin Park, and then just south of that, this is Walnut and Grant here. And then there's an alley that kind of, it seems like an alley, but it's this parking lot here. Then with their application materials, this is the site plan, so again, they take up those 12 parking spaces for this. You have your basic kind of shed style design, for maintenance equipment inside, but again, mostly metal materials for this. And then they just have their, cut sheets in the back. After review, the downtown design guidelines recommend durable and high quality building materials, landscaping, light fixtures that minimize light spill, and that contemporary design materials are appropriate. And with that, the proposal is consistent with the downtown design guidelines. Thank you.
So,
Show us again where it is.
Yeah.
so it's on Walnut Street, but it doesn't go all the way through to Rich Street then, is that correct? The parcel?
Right, exactly. So it's,
Interesting.
it's a part of the parking lot here.
Okay.
Is that parcel, I'm assuming that's owned by Franklin?
I would
Take a look.
Is someone here for the applicant? I'm sorry, would you come up and join us, please?
Yeah, so the owner is Franklin University.
Of that part, yes. Of course.
Of the whole parking lot, or just that part?
That part, just the, I don't, I was only focusing on
Morning.
the second.
Morning.
Could you identify yourselves for the record, please?
Yes, sir. My name is Carl Brown, Vice President for Campus Services for Franklin University.
Scott Graybill, Dina Corporation, contractor, no contractor.
Great. Would you raise your right hands? Do you swear and affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, say, I do.
I do.
Thank you very much. I guess first question on the table is, do you own the lot there?
We do.
And it's just that lot that is on the north side of that block, right? It does not go all the way through to, or does it?
It's at the corner of Grant and Rich and extends back.
Oh, so you own the parcel to the south of it as well?
Correct.
then?
We own that entire parcel all the way to Rich Street Loss, which is the next building up to the east.
Okay. Okay, so you're carving out a chunk of that on one parcel to build this building?
Correct.
That's the idea. Okay.
Taking up 12
The rest of
parcels.
that parking lot.
They
you
own it.
own, or
We own it all.
Oh, okay.
So why did you pick that spot?
Because of its location, it's near an alleyway. We felt it might fit better there and not be obtrusive and just go against the aesthetics of the area.
When you think about, you might, not be at this point, but when you think about that site that you own and future development, do you see it as something that would be used for parking long-term? Or do you see that other buildings that you might need for the campus would be built on this site?
That particular area would remain parking.
Okay, great. Show us some. Okay, has everybody got a concept? So there is an existing dumpster there?
There's a dumpster enclosure.
And that's
there.
gonna stay there, right?
Correct.
So basically, looks like even the pavement stays. You're just gonna insert a building.
Yes,
basically
correct.
on this thing. What's on the west side of that? You've got your landscaping that's gonna poke over a little bit past the west.
Right.
Okay,
And there,
and so your access will be on the west side?
On the
there?
west side,
West side.
correct.
Okay,
there will be a drive maintained through that.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
On either side of that building.
Right.
Let's look at this building then. Show us what, let's talk about materials and everything for a second. What is that metal,
metal siding.
okay? What color are we gonna propose for this? Thank you.
I think we're probably gonna go for a dark gray doors, and then the siding would be either a charcoal color or a ash gray.
Okay, and show us where lighting is, and obviously, everything on the exterior is metal, I assume.
Correct, correct.
You've got a canopy over the doors, you've got.
Yeah,
I don't know
there,
what your doors-
the lighting is only composed and underneath the canopy. So it's strictly down lighting.
Okay.
The current parking lot lighting, we feel is sufficient for the area.
Mhm.
Sure, and then, tell us what you're thinking about there for that landscaping. I see some, it looks like bushes along the south side there.
Barberry and boxwood.
See, which
Barberry and
Barbarian
Boxwood,
boxwood?
very
Okay.
low maintenance.
What do you use this for? Just storage, I guess?
It's replacing in another area. It's what was a former dumpster enclosure that was enclosed. And currently our tractor with our snow brush is on there,
Yeah.
our snow blowers, a gator, it's a utility vehicle. And then we also have a pickup with a plow that we're not able to park in that area. It's much too small, not adequate for what we need.
Do you have any concerns about security in that area or where your lot is?
The reason we face the doors west is because we can maintain better security there. The cameras from Grant, who is a great neighbor of ours, focus on those doors, that parking area. In fact, they park in our lot currently with some of their security vehicles. So we feel that with our own security force and with our neighboring partner, we can maintain security there.
And the thing I'm thinking about is that, you have the original dumpster enclosure, and then you have the building, and then there's a space between it that seems pretty narrow. So I'm just wondering if that would need some type of attention, whether lighting, or maybe you want to screen, fence it, I don't know, do something so that that might not be a problem.
We could certainly block that off.
You could attach it, just make
We
east
could.
and west lines of the enclosure run right up to the building.
We could have a zero lot line per se.
That enclosure,
Um,
dumpster enclosure.
Well, my first gut reaction was make it look like an intentional building, but I think the dark color there, and I frankly, I like the shed roof on the thing. I think, guess what, if we have people living in the area, you have to function and I personally do not have a problem with it, but now are you proposing to clean up the dumpster when you have the opportunity to build?
Yes, sir.
So what would your thought on that be?
We've already attended to the problem with the blacktop where it's failing there in front of that dumpster, and then we're going to fix the enclosure itself. The doors were not operating well because of that pavement issue.
Yeah. So what are you gonna do? You replace
Just replace boards.
so it'll be wood boards put
Correct.
back then, right?
Yeah, that's what was approved long ago when we did that.
Is there an opportunity, since you're building a lovely new building here next to it, to kind of, as long as you're gonna replace boards, think about something that maybe matches with with your new building somehow or another?
There is that possibility. It's up to the contractor what kind of cost they come back with.
Okay. Okay.
Nobody even heard that.
Well, we gotta be careful with these equations there. You get out of hand here.
The drawings, I don't see an east elevation. I mean, that's a section cut. The first one's a section cut, and then you have two elevations.
It'll be identical except no windows.
We did originally have windows on that side of the building and asked that they be removed because of that space between the dumpster and the building. I didn't want vandalism to occur there, or somebody trying to enter the building.
Do you have gutters on this thing then?
Yes.
Where are they, on the east side and then on the canopy?
Yeah, no gutters on the canopy.
Okay.
That's just,
Okay, what's the pleasure of the group? We see what we got here.
It's pretty hard to get excited about a trash shed or a maintenance shed in the middle of downtown. I mean, admittedly, it's on a parking lot. We like getting
Well,
good parking spaces.
And it's almost on an alley
That's
vertical.
what I say, it's like in an alley back here.
Do we like having the feature on the alley being the dumpster as opposed to the building? I mean, I want to
It's-
swap them.
It's existing now. I mean,
It would actually, the building would actually screen the dumpster from Ridge Street. So it'd be. a better
well, the
view.
other thing is, if you moved it to the south side of the building, I don't know if you did make access to it. The thing about dumpsters is you gotta put them in a place where the trucks can get
The
access.
truck has
to the
easy
dumpster.
access to it at that
I mean,
location. There's one right next to it across the alley,
Yeah.
or the Walnut Street, rather.
And that's improved, and yeah, that's a place where we have dumpsters along Walnut Street. I mean, not that it's not a nice. What's everybody wanna do?
Well, I would encourage that the dumpster screening be, I guess, upgraded. Because it does look like it's falling apart, and probably by the time you try to match the wood and do the and get the labor, you might as well just repair it, if you don't completely.
Well, I think they said they were
Oh, were they
intending to.
going, oh, you were going
We're
to,
going to review that.
yeah.
Well, okay, but you want to make that a part of.
Just that I strongly recommend it. And then, I wanted to ask you, you mentioned that windows, originally you had windows, but then you decided to remove them. Did you mean on the?
On the side of the dumpster, that would be on the north side.
side.
My mistake. You said east
Yes,
previously.
the
It was the north
east.
side.
So you do have windows on the east?
We do not.
You do not, okay.
I assume you don't own any property outside of downtown, nearby, or somewhere besides the middle of downtown where this facility.
We
could
do
go?
not. Our campus is in the middle of downtown. We were in the Discovery District.
Well, plus what are they gonna do? Try to drive a service vehicle or gator over from 3 miles away through? I mean,
That's what other people would do.
okay. Okay, what's the pleasure of the group?
So moved.
Okay, there's a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second?
There's a second. Okay, questions, comments? Bob? Thoughts? Trudy? Otto? Jane? Is there anything from the audience here? Let's just talk one more time here before we go down the road about where you are. You said you're considering it. What's the what does that mean with respect to the enclosure for the dumpster?
Certainly, we have to look at the budget we have allotted for this building. Right now, we are right up against it. And we are a nonprofit institution, so certainly we want to watch that budget very closely. We would like to repair that dumpster enclosure. We could do that within, with the money we have available right now. And we could reclad it with wood that would all match right now. But I'm not sure what the cost would be associated with the metal enclosure.
Okay,
I think those pictures are outdated.
They are, they're very.
It looks a lot better than that right now.
I mean, you folks obviously have an interest in making the area
Correct.
look as good as it could possibly look.
I'm very focused on that.
Okay, any other questions or comments? All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, say no. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. So this application is actually on West Nationwide Boulevard. It's my error for a new Admiral location. The site along West Nationwide Boulevard is adjacent to the lower.com soccer stadium on a surface parking lot. The applicant is seeking commission approval for a new Admiral location on the north facade of an existing blank garage wall. Graphic dimensions would measure 10 feet 9 inches tall by 21 feet 5 inches wide, which is 230.23 square feet. And materials would be rough wrap adhesive vinyl with laminate. No hardware, fasteners, or illumination are involved. And submitted materials include precedent images, a context map, site plan, rendering, graphic specs, and material details. And in looking at those, these are just some precedent images, but it's not really going to look anything like that. Here is what we're talking about. So this is the existing parking lot with this garage. And then this is the location that they're proposing with the size dimensions. There's details here on this side. And then this is the context map. So, this is West Nationwide Boulevard, the soccer stadium, and it's just adjacent to it.
Which is like some images to show what it's like in the middle of
Yeah.
And then, well, it's not illuminated. What they're doing is. Oh,
Sorry.
but again, and then this is more of a close-up aerial of where the location is. And so after review, the downtown district code states that admirals are permitted in the district and that the use of admirals in downtown was initiated to enliven the built environment and create visual interest through their placement on underutilized secondary buildings, surfaces such as blank walls. Admirals are defined as off-premises graphics composed of paint, vinyl, plastic, or other similar materials and are applied to a building wall surface either directly or by means of an approved mounting system. And the proposal is consistent with the downtown design guidelines. Thank you.
Very good. Could you introduce yourselves for the record, please?
Randall Sistrunk, Senior Director of Business Development for Orangeboro Media.
Thank you.
Amanda Miller, Director of Business Development for Orangeboro Media.
Great. Would you raise your right hands? Do you swear and affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So say, I do.
I do.
Thank you. Okay. Tell us about it.
So thank you guys for giving us the opportunity to bring the sign before you.
Could you use the microphone, please?
Thank you guys for the opportunity to bring the sign before you. As you guys know, Orangeboro Media, Columbus, born and bred. We manage quite a few signs in downtown Columbus. Static signs, we actually have 2 static signs.
Microphone on. I'm not really hearing very well.
Is that better?
That is better, yeah.
Physically.
Yeah, pull it toward.
Can it go higher?
It might-
For a tall person or no?
There we go.
Okay. Is that better?
Yeah.
That is-
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for the opportunity to come before you guys today to talk about our sign located right adjacent to the the new Columbus Crew Stadium. As you guys know, Orangeboro Media, we have quite a few static and digital signs throughout the downtown Columbus area. And so in working with our partner Nationwide Realty Investors, we are looking to install one static advertising mural that is in total 230 square feet. As I mentioned, directly adjacent on a garage that has a blank brick facade. And so similar to 2 other signs that were recently approved at the Downtown Commission, one on 3rd Street and one on High and Spring, which are much larger ad murals. This is probably our smallest sign to date here in Columbus.
Okay.
The sign won't require any street or lane closures to install the adhesive banner. It should be a very simple install. Probably take our crew a matter of an hour or so to install on this as well.
Questions, comments?
I'm not too excited about more ad murals, but in this district, when we first started working in the district, we tried to legislate chaos when it came to signing. So it'd be hard to say no to this one, I think.
Well, it seems like a pretty good spot to put it too. It's kind of the end of a garage and it's.
Is that what you'll see as you're leaving
Yeah,
the game? There's a lot that you're seeing as you're coming to the game.
Yeah.
But wish we would have had the sign up a couple of weeks ago, but
yeah. Yeah.
Timing is everything.
Thoughts, other comments, anything? Any thoughts in this in terms of the material you are thinking about in terms of putting it just advertising basically?
yeah, so it'll be advertisers. We'll be working with Nationwide, so probably a lot of sponsors of the crew, companies that work directly with the crew. And when there's not ad space up there, it'll probably be more likely on premise Nationwide advertising.
When you do some kind of ad thing, how long will those tend to stay up?
Typically, they stay up anywhere between 2 to 4 weeks.
Oh, that's it? So they'll change fairly quickly.
Well, they have advertisers have the option to buy a longer time on the sign, but typically ad buys are about 2 to 4 weeks.
Okay,
And
great.
it's city policy that ad murals are up for no longer than 1 year.
Okay, so that's the outside. Questions, comments, thoughts?
My only comment is I don't have any trouble with the location. I think that the only thing I think is unfortunate, but it's not your, it's not your fault or anything, is that the shape of the building, because that end piece is rectangular. It almost when you look at it, it almost looks like, when you see it here, it's okay, but when you had the orange piece on there showing what it would be like, it almost looks like you've just put a billboard there, and it doesn't look like it's a part of a building. But I think in reality, when you see it without the orange, people will see that it is applied to a building and it's not like a freestanding billboard.
Correct.
Yeah, so I think that when I saw that image without the orange on there, I think it will be more successful than, you see how this looks like it's just
Yeah.
a freestanding billboard.
And what's your trouble with it if it were freestanding?
I'm saying that I think it's fine, but I'm just a little, I mean, it's just unfortunate that the shape of the building, the end of the building is like, is the same.
Don't
Of
worry.
course,
The same,
the
you
other
know, the
other
same
may look
shape
at
that the billboard would be.
Yeah.
As opposed to something that might have, if the building had been a different shape, then I don't think that you look at it and see, oh, that must just be a billboard,
Yeah, that-
because of the shape.
And to your point, that makes perfect sense. So typically, as you guys know, our signs aren't typically built like standard 14 by 48 billboards. They're all non-traditional signs with non-traditional dimensions. So you're right. This is unfortunately a rectangle.
Yeah, it's just that the shape of it isn't helping you with the creativity or having it look like a deviation from a billboard. So that's my only comment, but that's just the way the building is designed.
Okay, so there's a comment about that. Anything else then?
I move approval.
There is a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. There is a motion on the floor. Okay. Otto, Trudy, comments, thoughts? Anything from the audience? Not you two guys, but anybody else? Like, we know what you want to see. Okay, hearing no other thoughts, I'm going to ask for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next case.
So our next project is for 347 East Gate Street, which includes two parcels currently used as a surface parking lot at the southwest corner of East Gate Street and Grant Avenue. The applicant is seeking commission approval of condition, I forgot to edit this, but this is actually just a conceptual review because we have ironed some things out recently. But it's a conceptual review for construction of a 6-story multi-unit affordable housing apartment building. The first floor includes 27 parking spaces via an existing curb cut on Grant, lined with amenity spaces on Gay. And key materials include aluminum storefronts and panels, stone veneer, cast stone, fiber cement rain screen, metal siding, and fiberglass windows. The applicant was last before the commission at the August 22nd meeting where they expressed support of infill development on the site and complimented the massing and horizontal banding. They recommended that high-quality materials be used and that paired windows in the north and south elevations change into one large window, and were split on preference for straight versus rounded building corners. They lowered the structure from 6 stories to 7, reduced the parking to 27 spaces from 29, elected straight building corners, and changed the window configurations on tall elevations, and then added a second floor terrace at the northeast corner of Gate and Grant. And submitted materials include a site plan, floor plans, unit plans, elevations, perspective renderings, and a building section. And then in terms of materials, it's fairly the same as last time. Again, the parking count did change here. The second story terrace was added here at that corner. And then the window configurations changed. Some of the windows getting smaller, different windows in different locations. But again, largely the same. And then that floor count going from 7 to 6 stories. And so after review, the downtown design guidelines recommend that buildings located on a corner lot be designed to address both streets, utilize high quality materials and a higher level of design with transparent first floor and landscaping that complements the overall development. They also state that parking structures have a high level of design to minimize their monotony, integrate other ground floor uses, and that a reduction or elimination of curb cuts is encouraged as sites are redeveloped. Based on the information provided, this project would trigger downtown streetscape standards along the Gay Street frontage. And the proposal is largely consistent with the downtown design guidelines. Staff encourages the applicant to add an art mural on the west elevation and to continue to explore options that would remove the curb cut. Thank you.
See the site plan, please?
Yeah.
And as I recollect, you do not own the alley there or the private drive on the west side of this lot, right?
That's correct, yes.
I'm sorry, would you
Sure.
identify yourselves for the record, please?
Sure, I'm Jeff Mormon with Finance Fund.
Carrick Cheryl Columbus Design Company.
Raise your right hands. Do you swear and affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So say I do.
I do.
Thank you. So, yes, okay. Go ahead, I guess.
Maybe before we get in, Belkis, would you mind kind of a brief overview of the position we're in with the threshold requirement for the review of the project with regard to how Housing Finance Agency was determining whether we had the appropriate zoning. So this is a tax credit project. We will be previously submitted for a 4% competitive round. And that application was,
Let me,
okay,
yeah.
Jeff's gonna.
Yeah, sorry. So very quickly, just to give a quick update as to why we're here. No, I appreciate that, Greg. So Finance Fund is a 501c3 nonprofit. You know, one of the things we always focus on is trying to keep the rent as affordable as possible, you know, below maximum allowable rent. So anything we can do below that, we certainly are trying because it benefits the residents and the community, as well as lower the amount of public dollars that go into an affordable project. The less public dollars that go into one project, it means more projects that can occur. And I think that helps address the housing crisis that we face across America. So with that in mind, we actually have a much stronger proposal as a 9% tax credit application, not to go too far into the financial structures of these, but ultimately our request, our gap dollars needed, the public dollars to fill the project, is about a fourth of what it would have been as what we submitted back in August. Carrick was going to say most of the projects in Columbus were removed from consideration, ours being among those, but it was actually, in our belief in this case, ended up being a benefit because it allowed us to refocus our design. So we went from 78 units to 7 units. We dropped the story and removed quite frankly, millions of dollars of cost from the project in doing so, while keeping the maximum number of units the project really supports as a 9% tax credit under the way that the financial structure of the OFA works. So really at this point, we believe that we have met a few different metrics in that regard. All of this, though, came from what Belkis is about to describe, in that it was a zoning consideration that we had to interact between downtown zoning and coming before this commission and the requirements that OFA has as a threshold for applying for the tax credits in the first place. And it was unique to downtown in that the zoning creates this inconsistency to some degree.
I can explain a little bit more. So, to meet the zoning threshold for points for the OFA tax credit application, a letter, either a permit, which they're not gonna have permits in hand, obviously, but, or you can submit a letter from the municipality stating that that site, the uses that are gonna happen on that site, the site is zoned appropriately for what they want to construct on the site. After having a phone call with OFA and talking with their chief zoning official, we realized and figured out that our chief zoning official is able to word the letter in a way that states that residential uses are allowed by right in the downtown district. There's a list of uses that require a certificate of approval, but this proposal for residential uses does not require a certificate of appropriateness because that use is allowed by right. So for example,
Doesn't require a certificate of appropriateness for the use.
just for the use only, which is what they need to write into open letter. So that's been ironed out. Our chief zoning officials.
Okay, so let's, I'm not sure that,
Provide the fact-
I'm not sure that we need to go into this.
Right.
Sure.
So that's.
I think we get the idea. And so let's move on to what we want to talk about today, which I think is the design elements on the building.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Absolutely. We're just trying to give you a little background
Where
on where we are and how we got here.
I can understand how that would come up.
Yeah.
I think it sounds like you folks have handled it.
Yeah.
Yes. And thank you to you.
Okay, so let's go.
Yes. So we're here again with a slightly modified building from the last time. The building design is a little further developed than it was last time. The images later in the package are actual images, not the generative design images that were provided previously. So, you know, this is where we are at with our proposal with a fairly traditional corner facing Gay Grant. We feel that it's fairly well activated with the second story balcony. The community room is on the corner, whereas I believe the previous design had the entrance on the corner. The entrance has been moved a little further west on to Gay. The courtyard in the middle is still there. It's actually a little larger. It will have some. It will be well landscaped. It's got a masonry kind of boundary wall that's defining some of it. It's open to a partially covered patio. And then you've got the program and amenity spaces all along the rest.
So does the upper part of the building stick out over that recessed area there on the first floor?
It does not where the trees are. It does where it's labeled patio.
You say it does?
It's above the area that's labeled right where the number is, but not where the remainder.
Gotcha. Show us where the entries are again on both the north side and the east side, please.
So it would be the third bay from the left is that the main entrance door.
Can you point to, is it that where there's a break in the, oh, I see.
So left.
There are two breaks in the fencing along the front, right?
Yeah,
That's a door, that's a door.
Yes, that right door is a private entry door with resident access to the patio and landscaping area. Where the hand is right now is the primary entrance point for the building.
I had just a comment on that. I think if there's a way, and it might be very simple, to just make that door look a little more prominent, because that is your main door, and it might be something like narrowing the side lights and making the door a little wider, or possibly raising the door a little bit, you know, just something so that it reads maybe a little more of a focal point than the one to the
Maybe
right.
awning or canopy or
Or
something
something
like that.
that it can draw you in that this is the main entry.
Yeah, that location does have a awning. It doesn't really read very well in the straight on elevation. It's not much of an awning, but it's intended to be a signage band or something like that that certainly draws attention. And
Maybe.
And then is there an entry on Gay Street side too?
there is only a
Is that a man door there?
yeah, there's only that's a stairwell exit and then the vehicle entrance.
So it's the idea that you're gonna have some kind of, I think you build this as a mixed use project, right? Is that right or not? It's just a residential unit, I'm sorry.
It is just
What
residential.
happens on the first floor then?
Yeah.
That's where I was going.
Yeah, so this actually is a pretty, for a tax rate project, is a pretty well amenitized space. So there's a large fitness room, I think it's a little over 1,000 square feet on the western edge.
Okay.
And then there's it really ends up becoming almost a two-story community space. So on the first floor, obviously fully enclosed on the northeast corner, and then on the second floor have a amenity space plus a outdoor kind of indoor outdoor lounge that kind of creates that or the terrace, I guess is a better way to describe things. It creates that more, I think, interesting aesthetic that you don't typically see on a tax credit project, trying to relate better to the other market rate projects that are there and coming in the Discovery District. You know, the demand is clearly there as more buildings are being developed in that area. So that's really the kind of commercial-esque component. There will be on-site management, there will be on-site maintenance. You know, we're still trying to decide if we can programmatically work to have some on-site supportive services. Other projects, we work with supportive service providers, behavioral health, or others that work with tenant relations and community relations, as well as kind of placement into primary care or job training or all those types of services as well. So we're trying to figure out how much of that first floor we can activate for that type of use.
So this terrace balcony section there on the second floor in the upper right-hand corner is common space for the project then, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
What's the corner at the bottom of the drawing? What is that a terrace? Is that
This one.
there's a door
Yeah,
at each
no,
end?
no, that area, that.
Oh,
section along-
yeah, so that's access to the podium, the level on the podium. And that is a little bit underdeveloped potential program space. I mean, obviously, it's right on the property line. It's not covered, but it certainly can be used for outdoor use. And, assuming that some point down the line, the parking lot to the south may be infilled, we can't guarantee that that's going to remain a particularly viable
But is
space.
it a roof? Is it a?
Yeah, it's a roof
Second
above
floor.
parking. Yeah.
Okay, well, you don't want people wandering there because it's gonna be right in front of all those units, right?
Again,
I mean, it's
that's
just the maintenance.
sure, that's something that I feel needs to be developed a little bit further, but I feel like there's ways to create separation. I mean, it's about 12 feet deep. So I think there's some ways to create separation between a public use area and people like, leering in windows.
Yeah, I think, planters back there to kind of screen from the
Yeah.
commercial space to the south would be important there, certainly, to
That
make
makes
those
sense.
units more amenable or desirable.
Okay, review again for us the materials you're thinking about here and the window systems and all those kind of stuff.
Sure. So the primary materials on the first two floors are basically a limestone like weather base, and then above that would be a complementary manufactured stone veneer that is a thinner material. In addition to that, there's a brick veneer that would be applied to the southeast corner and south as it wraps around. That same materials consistent across the whole south elevation.
And tell us
Yep.
what you mean by a brick veneer product. Do you mean
It's-
brick?
Yeah, it's actually what I have specified is the same manufacturer as the manufactured stone veneer. So it's just a brick texture instead of a stone texture.
Okay, so what are these then? These are panels then? Is that what you're
Yeah.
talking about?
Yes.
That are made of what?
The composition is, fibrous and cementitious material.
This is a ephes brick?
No, it's manufactured stone. I mean, it's a stone looking material. They're usually 1.5 to 2 inches thick. It's lighter than standard stone. It's
So when you say limestone on the first two floors, you don't mean limestone. You mean some of this panel
So
product that you're talking
the
about?
first couple of courses, because this material, the manufactured stone veneer doesn't perform well.
You know,
At
like that
grade.
sidewalk.
Yeah, either with pedestrian traffic or weather, salt, things like that. So we would be using an actual limestone material at the base, and then
And when you say the base, how far up?
Would you mind going up there and pointing out?
Sure. If you could just go to the straight on elevation, I think it's one page up. Yeah, let's zoom in here. So like this material is all the Ariscrap limestone material.
Now, okay, so Aeroscraft, I don't know what that is. Is that actual
That's kind of-
limestone or is that your,
So Ariscraft is a calcium silicate manufactured limestone. It's the exact same composition, they just manufacture it. So, and then, so above, so everything that's kind of the first couple courses under the windows, the first 3 or 4 courses on the pilasters are all that material, very durable, weatherproof. And then above that is the manufactured stone veneer that is, applied to the framing and it's a lighter material.
Is that manufactured stone veneer then the material on the first few floors that is on every facade of the building?
Yes, yeah, yep. And then so above that, we have a 9-inch exposure shiplap fiber cement siding. And then when you get to the top, that's a vertical flush metal siding with a 12-inch exposure.
And on the elevation, on the Grant Street elevation, that, I guess the couple of courses on the bottom of the limestone, that is carried
Correct.
across.
Yes.
and what is it on the left-hand side of the Grant side, over the garage door area there? What's that?
This is the brick texture of that manufactured material. It's the same,
Aristocrat or whatever?
it's the Creative Minds manufacturer.
By the way, everybody, as we recall, this is a conceptual review, so, speak up with thoughts and comments. Because we're trying to give the applicants as much
Yes, please. Thank you.
direction,
Yeah.
at least on our thoughts, as we can.
I like what you're doing here. I know that, I think it was discussed in the past about would there be another way to have your garage entry and exit instead of off of Grant? And I think if you've explored that and you can't, I think it will be important that where that garage door is, that the garage door itself and the materials around it
Yeah.
look well. And I think you're doing that. You're carrying that water table with the limestone and then you have the same material above it.
Yeah, that's a difficult consideration there because, the division of traffic is gonna want a separation between, especially with an entrance on Grant, between the face of the right of way and where we're actually have the door that opens and closes to be able to get cars in, not block traffic,
I
so.
think it's actually not a bad place for it, frankly.
Yeah, so I mean, you'll see, as a pedestrian, you won't see the grade, or the door until you're like right in front of the building, because that, the roll-up metal grade that you see there in the direct elevation is 30-some feet back,
Oh, it's
because,
recessed.
yeah, it's fairly deeply recessed. Yeah, it's mostly going to just perceive as a masonry opening with no door in it.
And where that brick veneer, I think it's called the masonry veneer ends, and then it turns back to the door, and you're using the same material, like you're turning it to the garage.
On the interior,
Yeah, like as it, you have the plane of the wall.
Yeah.
But then it's gonna recess back to get to the door, so I'm wondering if you will turn the material, like you turn the material to the door.
yeah, on the left side of the door, this is basically just a thin wall, so we could lap that material on the back side. And then on this side, it's basically the south side of the stair wall, so we would carry that material all the way back to there's an entry door as it wraps around, so.
Tell us a bit about window units, thinking what direction you're going. I think windows are important. They have to have the right kind of weight, and so on. They have to come across as good quality.
Yeah, so what we proposed is a fiberglass window. It's for the most part going to be a casement style above a fixed panel. So you'll see that in a lot of the elevations where there's a fixed panel below the main unit.
What would that mean? I don't know quite what that means. Are these low windows, in other words?
Yeah, like right. So
So you
if
got a
this-
fixed panel down below, and
Right.
then above that, you have a window that.
Yep.
Okay. Interesting. How far off the floor would the bottom panel?
So the sill of the upper operable window is at 3 feet.
Okay. Interesting. Okay,
I have a question.
other thoughts? Yes, Otto, please.
Jeff, can you, this brought up in the, original presentation. Can you talk about how this building relates to the Vera Broad building, particularly the parking and, and otherwise, and even when I was thinking about that garage door, kind of across, that directly across, or kind of cat door, cat corner.
Sure, yeah.
How do the two buildings relate?
Yeah, absolutely. So we most recently completed the Vera on Broad, which is 114 units. It was using the old Carlisle Passion Murphy law firm building from 1949. And then we built 100 units on top of a 3-story parking deck on what was at that point their surface parking lot. So the edge of what would that be? The northern edge of the Vera project runs into what is a little alley that actually connects to CCAD, and then across the alley is the southern edge, essentially, of what is Artemon Gay. So there's a
Artemon Gay's over here, right?
Artemon Gay's over there. Yeah, and so you can see Kelly Alley right there. I mean, they're almost. I mean, I don't know. It's not quite an overlap, but it's maybe a 15 to 30 feet, somewhere in that range, gap between what would be the edge of Artem and the edge of Vera. So that's kind of the connection point. Now there's between the Abigail, which is just north of Vera, there's actually a little sliver lot that Finance Fund owns as well. It was I think 22 double parked spaces that were there. We're looking at a public electric charging station there. There is not one there's not a large public charging station within a half-mile radius of this space. So it seems, there's nothing much else to do with it. I mean, it's a very small sliver lot that's shaded by both the Abigail and Vera. And it has an alley access. So that seems like it might be a great use that could benefit the Abigail, Vera, and eventually Artem as well. So that's the interaction from that standpoint. We do have 100, and Brad's here, he might be able to confirm, 153, is that right? Approximately? I think 153 parking spaces in the Vera project for the 114 units. So, we're slightly over parked there, which I think will benefit the Artem project because we are going to be 27 parking spaces for 70 units. So being able to interact between those two with the access for parking being at Kelly Alley for the residents of Vera. So if you were to park there to get down and across Artem it would be a 30-second walk, across that street. If you went all the way to the corner and went into the Gay Street entrance, it might be a minute and a half. So, it's very close and it interacts very well. And, as we're moving, I think, into the direction of trying to have better rapid transit and public transit in the downtown district, we don't want to overpark Artem as well. So that interaction between the two really allows for that transition period as we become maybe less car dependent in the downtown district. But, that's obviously some number of years away. So having Vera and the parking that's available there, I think will benefit this project as well.
Okay, very good. Any other questions or thoughts or comments?
When you looking at the upper levels of the project and you're using the fiber, is it the fiber cement panels? Do you see that all as one color or variations of tones of a color palette?
I personally feel like the building style is fairly traditional. So I think a single color through the body where we're using the fiber cement will be most appropriate. I think there's an opportunity for a color change where we move to the uppermost floor where it's a metal panel, kind of creating, a crown or a cap on the building.
I like the use of the pilasters that you've put there, to group windows,
Mhm.
create a pattern. And as you develop the project, maybe look, study if there are other opportunities, especially on the north side and the center portion. I know you don't want to overdo it or anything, or it gets too busy.
Yeah.
But maybe just thinking if, there might be an opportunity there to, I don't know, if you feel.
Sure, yeah, no, I totally hear what you're saying. And I was looking at that, and with the amount of time I had to develop these elevations, the result was kind of getting a little goopy, so I kind of backed up and left it
You
the way
might
it
find
was.
it's too much, you might find that, hey, on the sides, it looks great,
Mhm.
and you're emphasizing that, and if you put it in the middle, it would negate it. But I'm just saying, like, it's schematic, so you can explore that.
Sure, yeah.
Good. Any other comments
Yes,
then?
Jeff, and so going back to that, you're gonna go for 9% deal on this. Just what is that, how deep into the affordability does that bring this project? And, again, and I keep asking about the relation to the Vera,
Sure.
and I think this almost creates a mixed income, community.
It definitely
So they're
does.
right there together.
Right.
And the sharing of some of.
Well, and then with the advocate as well, I mean, there's a very sliding scale of affordability within that. So we are within 30 and 80% as every tax credit deal has to be, and that's the requirement with average incomes and occupancy limits at or below 60% of the area median income. So that's the general threshold of every tax credit. Our goal is to try to bring the rent number down further, because typically pricing of the rent is at the maximum or close to the maximum allowable. So, if it's able to be occupied by someone at 60% of the area median income, you're going to have the rent set at that. So they might be paying more than 1/3 of their income unless they literally were at the exact max allowable from their income standpoint. So, what we are intending to do is make sure we have those 30% units in there, find rent support for those individuals and families that would be at that level. And in our presentation to the city and OFA will ultimately include trying to work with families that have some level of income but are housing unstable, potentially involved in the shelter system at some level. So that's, there truly will be even within the Artem project, a relatively wide income band, because we'll have efficiency 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units. So, when you look at that, a 3-bedroom might be in the $1,500 range.
So, Vera goes, what, 80 to 120, or?
Yeah,
I know one part that's pretty luxury, but
right. So we are, and with the average AMI rents at Vera being approximately 80% of the area median income. Actually, we're slightly below that with the most recent income limits that came out this year. So yeah, we are, it's about a 20% difference between Artem and Vera, but obviously, 80% is still on the low end, certainly of anything new being built right now.
Do you see families, especially like the larger units, you see families living here?
We do, yeah. I wouldn't say it's going to be the lion's share of the occupants there, but certainly we want to create that opportunity for maybe not the largest families, because obviously, we only have 3-bedroom units. But that said, certainly we believe families will find this desirable. I think there are some great school choices around, and I think with the transportation system, even as it is today, I think getting to those educational opportunities is available. And certainly the Discovery District and anything up and down Grant specifically is highly amenitized with healthcare and other opportunities there. A grocery store literally across the street. So some of the things that make living in downtown a challenge as a family are alleviated in this location. And so, yeah, I do believe that there will be some demand certainly for families.
I know you were mentioning that you're still looking at the programming of the amenity spaces, and because of that, maybe it's possible to have like a playroom for children or something like that that's unique to urban living.
That would be wonderful. We should really consider that.
Okay,
Yes,
good. I'm going to try to keep this moving here. Are there any other comments related to the architectural elements here? Otherwise, I think you've heard kind of what our comments are.
Well,
Yeah,
thank you
thank
so
you for
much.
coming in.
Thank you. We very much appreciate
Okay,
it. Happy holidays.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, what do we have? Do we have another one?
We have one last one. All right, so our last case is at West Capitol Street and Highwater Alley. The site is currently a vacant lot situated at the corner of West Capitol Street and Highwater Alley. The applicant is seeking conceptual feedback from the commission to construct a 7-story mixed-use building with 135 residential units and 5,000 square feet of commercial space. Building programming also includes 3,500 square feet of amenity and co-working space, storage areas, a rooftop courtyard, and a pool. Materials include brick, party board siding, metal panels, vinyl black windows, and storefront glazing. Parking is provided at an adjacent parking garage. And this is part of the Scioto Peninsula project located on this parcel here. These are just some conceptual or contextual images here. And then we get to the views of the buildings, renderings, what it's proposed to look like. And then again, going into the site plan and floor plans. We have a building section here. But essentially, after review, the downtown design guidelines state that downtown's built environment continue to be enhanced and energized with new buildings, and that contemporary design is appropriate. The guidelines recommend that buildings on corner lots address both streets, utilize high quality and durable materials, and have a high degree of transparency and incorporate landscaping. And the proposal is consistent with the downtown design guidelines, although details on landscaping and lighting are to be determined in future application. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Applicants come up, please. Could you identify yourselves for the record, please?
Brandon Bogan. Brandon Bogan with Loading Collins Properties.
And Brad Paris with Archall Architects.
Would you raise your right hands? You swear and affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and so say I do?
I do.
Great. Okay, and again, this is conceptual, so let's go at it, and you'll hear our comments then.
First off,
Thank you.
thanks for having us here again, as this is an exciting project for us. Coming off the tail of the One Peninsula project, which is located just to the south of this. We had completed 2 buildings. And then this will actually proceed what hopefully will be another development just to the north of us. That it's been recently in the news, but this one's sitting kind of in the middle of the 2 developments and will be connected to both of them throughout the process.
Sorry, could you speak up a little bit?
Sure. Is that better?
Yeah.
That is, thanks.
There we go. Do you want me to repeat any of that?
No.
All right, very good. So this site, like I said, it is a connection point between the 2 projects. You can see the larger project there to the south of the 2 buildings that are up and operational now. And then the parking lot at the bottom left-hand corner there will be our future project that we're working on in collaboration with CDDC and Daimler. With that, I'll hand it to Brad to kind of walk through the design.
Good morning. So the overall design of this is supposed to complement sort of the smaller building of the phase 1. And really start to give, a unity between the 3 buildings and offer sort of different unit sizes throughout the project. This building also has sort of 5,000 square feet commercial on the first floor with a 3,500 square foot amenity. And it will have an amenity deck up on the podium that will have, if you go to 2 more, please. We'll have an amenity deck with a pool. if you could go to the perspectives, please.
And what floor is that on?
That's on the, would be the third floor.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so really if the east elevation there at the bottom, we're gonna take the opportunity. This is the entrance to the amenity and the entrance to this building, and really highlight that with potentially the edge of the pool, so that it's kind of shown the side, the section cut of the pool is sort of overhanging at that balcony. Give it an opportunity, something a little bit different here in town. The materiality overall for the building is a brick base all the way around for 2 floors. This is consistent with the
Sorry,
small
it's what around all the way?
brick. It's the black brick, and this is consistent with the sister building or the brother building that's adjacent with it all the way around. We have 2 exposures of hardy that's going up, which again is consistent with the first building, as well as the same window, albeit storefront on the first 2 floors, and then sort of a Quaker vinyl product, which is consistent with the first building as well. Again, really trying to complement and bookend this development. We are, obviously we have, most of the services are for the building are located on the corner of Star and Rush, and this is like the most discreet, so this would be the back to your left over here.
And
really
which direction is that, Star and Rush?
That is
South?
west, southwest.
West?
Yeah, adjacent to the parking
South.
garage.
Okay.
Okay.
Great.
And then obviously this being the high water alley and rush alley, really given predominance and connection back to the phase 1 as well. Okay.
A question?
Yes.
about that? The entry for the residents, is that occurring at the, start?
Right there.
The west or on the east?
So we have the main entrance to the amenity area is on the east side off of high water, okay, adjacent to the office building that's there currently. However, we also designed in 2 back corridor entrances on the west side that's adjacent to the parking garage. It is assumed that the parking garage will serve for the parking for this building, and thereby we gave 2 access points there, so to shorten their distance. This building will not be connected to the garage via like the sky bridge or anything like the previous developments.
So on the east facade and going into the amenities that's not to get to the residential use. It's or you can go through there and get into the residential sector.
Yeah, that is to get into, yeah, so the main elevator there is just to the right of the hand, and you have a stair core there as well. So again, it's the amenity area with the services vertically, as well as we have another stair and elevator core to the south. The idea is that move in, move out would occur on the Star Street in the parking spaces there, so that, again, we're not restricting traffic for move in and move out of new tenants.
But on high water, somebody who lives in that building could come in through
Yes.
high water.
Yes, most definitely. Yeah, and the idea is that it's their main amenity, much like a hotel concierge coming into a new building.
On your commercial space on the first floor, is that something that's going to be connected to the building, or just not necessarily? I mean, it could be a retail or an office, or it's going to be building connected.
Don't know at this point. We're still looking at tenants options for that and go throughout.
I got a thought here. I'm just going to throw something at you. You've got your U shape with the U and the pool pointed to the east.
Mm-hmm.
And I got 2 thoughts on that. One is that you got to the east, if you like to go sit around the pool and enjoy the sunshine and all this kind of thing, number one, in the morning, you're going to have the shadow from the building to the east, which is a pretty tall building. And then after about 12:30 or 1 o'clock, when people want to go to the swimming pool, it's going to be cast in shade because it's facing east. If you flip that upper portion so that the U shape kind of face to the west, you're up against a 4-story garage. You'd have sunshine there on that pool area from noon all the way until 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon when the sun starts to go down, at which time it's real hot anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But just, in terms of getting use out of the pool, by the way, I don't know that you need to switch the first floor or any of that kind of stuff, just the just the
the
view
on top.
does like kind of 180 degrees. Just a thought.
Okay, thank you.
You have, I think it's on the southwest corner. I think that's where your transformer is.
Transformer trash services.
You're using, I think it's some type of metal panel.
Yeah,
And is that something that will need to be vented? And
yes,
Is that integrated into the panel? And what will that look like? Because
most, yeah.
it's in a prominent location and it turns the corner a bit. So I'm just wondering how you see that.
Yeah, most likely, and we'll provide more details in our next submission, but obviously, yes, there will be venting, especially in the transformer room, of the heat load given off the transformer, but also the trash to exhaust that space as well. So we'll look at a product that has more venting, whether albeit in the door, but screen, or it's a separate louver that is sort of angled that restricts your view into the space and still provides the venting, okay?
And do you see the co-working space as something just for the building or for the whole development? You have the sister builds, 2 buildings down to the south, you have other construction going around. So is the co-working space meant to be just for that building or to incorporate, the surrounding buildings?
It will be open to residents throughout the complex. We're still working through some of the logistics between what we call one at the peninsula, which is the 2 buildings to the south, and then the future 2 at the peninsula, which is just to the north of this, of how all the access will work. But it will be open to other residents within the overall complex.
I guess in a way, to the extent that you're pretty much matching your other buildings, this is which we've already approved, obviously, and I think we like the design. I'm not trying to speak for the group, but this is kind of easy for us in a way. Are there any kind of thoughts or comments that somebody would want to throw at the proposed applicants here in terms of what you're seeing today?
I think it's great.
I mean, my only comment is I agree with Steve. I thought about that too, with the eastern exposure that you would be getting most of the sunlight in the morning hours. And then maybe looking at, another direction and see what the advantages would be and how that works with the design. And then also because you do, a lot of people that live there will probably be coming out of that Starling garage and using that west entry, those 2 west entries. So, maybe really as you develop it, thinking about how to make those feel more like, their primary entry.
That's
But I mean, design wise, the exterior is fine. I think I like the idea of having a commercial space in this building at the southeast corner. Because it ties you kind of in both to the office building to the east, but the hotel.
the hotel.
And that's and especially the way that hotel is done, because they got that back entrance and side entrance from High Water Alley there. So you got a little bit of an activity area there.
Yep.
Any other thoughts, comments? I feel like we're letting you off too easy on this thing here, but.
Our timing at this point, projection is to start construction probably late Q3, early Q4 next year.
Okay,
Great.
well, and I think we got time for,
Yeah.
So I think you've heard our thoughts.
Yep, no,
Anything else?
Go for it.
Okay, thanks so much.
thank you for your time today.
Appreciate it. Sorry, we had to be here till 11 o'clock.
No.
Oh,
Yeah.
you can.
It's only 10, you did.
Oh, we're good. Clock got me.
I know.
I was thinking, oh my God, I got step down as chairman and
You
he.
just like the 7 hours.
I know.
3-hour meeting here.
I'm better than that.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so the last item of business is just to accept the staff approved applications.
Let's just get it on the floor. Is there not motion to
So
approve?
moved.
Is there a second, please? Okay, it's on the floor. Any questions, anything anybody saw that doesn't look right? Okay, those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, that motion carries. Anything else we need to go over? Old business, new business?
Nope, that's it.
Who provided the chocolates for everybody?
Yes.
Thank you. Did. Well, thank you very much. That's very nice.
Happy holidays.
Yes, I like chocolate and sea salt makes.
I
me
have
feel
a
good.
comment about the pace of the meeting. It would be helpful, I think, if we have a little bit more context. You know, like site photos of what's there
Okay.
and what's around it, like that Gate Street, and Grant project. Even though we've seen it before, it's hard to remember exactly where that is, and what's
Yeah.
around it, what
So
parking lot.
maybe bring up like a Google Street View.
Yeah.
Or even some photos
So
of.
go see it,
Okay,
or ask them to go see it or something, but I think a little more context would be helpful.
okay,
I think that's a good idea.
okay.
Any other thoughts? Okay, Belkis, I think you're doing a nice job and I
Me too.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
No, anybody, anything else for anybody?
Happy holidays.
Well, thank you,
everybody.
yeah. Enjoy it. Nice to see everybody.
Nice.
Appreciate your input on everything.